7 o'clock, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Andrew, roll call, please.
Chapman. Yeah. Drake. Fox. Let's see. Patton. Ring. Hines. Tyler.
Number 4, public comment. Limit to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, I'm Kelly Young. Thank you all for taking the time tonight, council. Your service to the community. I know some of you get paid, these are all materials, and I appreciate taking the time to make this today. You know, it's I can probably talk for hours, but you know, a brief recap is I've told the downtown business owners, the majority of them, except for some of the council members that might have seen it as a conflict of interest. Spoke to the business owners in town. I had over 70% approval of the passing of this ordinance in full support. We also did an e-petition online. It wasn't just village residents, but we have 259 signatures to date. 231 of them are collected within 7 days. There's several people that are here that would like to speak, so and I don't have everybody's time. I'd like to open up the court for everybody else to speak, but I ask for your council please to consider amending the ordinance to allow the facility, which you have granted a permit for at this time, to be located within 900 feet of the school. Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Bradley Tilton. I live at 401 East Calhoun in the village of Mansalona. I am here representing Green Farm, which was the other applicant. Again, this is the process here with this young. I am reading a letter from our attorney at this point. Dear Village of Central, my office represents Rocky North LLC, doing business as Green Farm, a well-known and well-qualified cannabis company, which operates marijuana retail locations in Kalkaska, Traverse City, Bay City, and Detroit. Green Farm applied for a marijuana retail establishment license here, and that was to be located in the downtown area. As you know, Green Farm because it was submitted untimely. This was despite being given assurance from the clerk's office that my client would be able to submit the application 7 days after the expiration of the submission period. As at that point, the clerk was on vacation, and for a 1 week's time, no other village employee was able to provide the application packet. Upon returning from vacation, the clerk rightfully acknowledged that this was not the fault of Green Farm and would allow them to turn in their application 7 days late. After accepting my client's application, the village then notified my client that its application would not be considered at this time because it was a violation of the submission deadline found in the ordinance. Although my client was understandably frustrated by this decision, we ultimately walked away. However, it now seems that Green Farm may have been the victim of an intentional action being perpetrated against it. It seems that not only the other applicant, the only other applicant to apply in this village did so at a location that does not comply with the zoning requirements set forth in the village ordinance. As it is the property is within 100 or 1,000 feet of the school. Instead of disqualifying this applicant as they did Green Farm with basically the same purposes, almost undeniably, unbelievably, they have taken the step of calling for a special meeting to amend an ordinance that they would not do more so on another client. Upon information and belief of this decision to change the rules for one applicant and not for Green Farm is being made specifically to favor the client who just happens to also live in the Central area and owns numerous real estate properties in the village. This is a blatant violation of law. By not being able to provide my client an application which prevented him from being able to apply timely, and now changing the rules for the other applicant. There is clearly a concerted effort by the village to deny my client a license and stacking the deck in favor of local applicants instead. In addition, this conduct also prevents a competitive process as required by the Michigan Regulation, Taxation, and Marijuana Act, specifically section 9/4. In other words, the village is actively trying to eliminate any competition to the local applicant by taking an extreme measure to ensure that only this applicant would be awarded. By approving this amendment that you're doing this evening, the village council will be endorsing this outrageous and illegal process. In the event of this unwarranted behavior and passing of this village change to a written ordinance of this amendment, please know that my client has authorized my firm to immediately file a lawsuit seeking emergency injunctive relief, as well as claims for violations related to the substantive and procedural due process rights and equal protection issues at a minimum. I urge you to consider this letter prior to making your decision.
All right, thank you. I think you got to plan 3 minutes. Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Tina DeForest. I've been a Central Lake resident for over 25 years. I raised my sons in this community. They attended and graduated from Central Lake schools. I am a business supporter for our local businesses, but I'm here in opposition of this variance. As a Christian, I don't feel that we should have a marijuana business in our small community. I don't believe that we should have it close to the school system. People go out of town to Petoskey, Traverse City, Gaylord areas to do their shopping and eat at restaurants. They could very well go there to do their other business. And I just want to thank you, council, for the opportunity to speak. I just don't think we need a business like this with our downtown area. People, children walking downtown to the park all the time. I just don't think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest.
Well, I'll go to our 2 years, and I have no killing with some of the projects. But I hear people that are against it because of children and everything else. You know, I joined the military to hold up the pole to defend my country, so people under the laws can do what they want to, as long as it's by the law. When you talk about your children, we have establishments, and I know there's numerous revenue tickets and people drinking. But let's not go against any of these people. It's here to create jobs for your community. There's 10 people I know in the work. And it's just a great opportunity for you guys. And I come from a small town, smaller than this, where people are against windmills. Yep, everybody gets them. First time 34 going in, people start making money. Now there's 4,300 in that county. It's just a great opportunity. You know, I hope you guys do the right thing and figure it out.
Thanks. Thank you, Bill.
I'm Debbie Jackus, and I'm a pharmacy downtown. And in the 30-some years that we've been here, I've never seen such an effort of their time, their money, their resources that we could to create a viable business in this town. I've just never seen anything like the drive to be educated, to create a quality product and a quality business for this town. I have absolutely no problem with it, and I think we're very lucky that we have someone who is so vested in this community and part of this community to want to bring this here. Otherwise, we'd be dealing with, because it's down the state, there are billboards every 5 miles, huge billboards on cannabis shops. County is trying to bring us quality products in a quality way, and is again invested in this community.
Thank you.
I've already stepped back on the 7611 for lived here for 20 years. I'm against having marijuana grows lots in Central Lake, not just because we already have the serious drug and alcohol abuse problem in this town, and that is an important reason, but also because of the pervasive lingering odor caused by the manufacturer. Proper ventilation is to be installed in manufacturing places to prevent any odor from escaping the building, which is difficult to do. It is a disgusting, offensive odor. I believe the photography studio in a former barber shop that is next to the manufacturing building was forced to move their place of business because of the repulsive, revolting smell. One only has to visit the industrial area of Kalkaska, which has been overrun by marijuana manufacturers, to understand the detriment to those living and working nearby. Excuse me. People are unable to open windows in their own homes due to the stink. The Trump Town Eatery, just a wonderful spot for great lunches and dinners, spent a lot of money in the last 2 years improving and expanding the business. 2 features added were 2 garage doors which could be opened for fresh air during the weather. During those 80-degree days we enjoyed a few weeks ago, the doors could not be opened because of the stench. Personally, I live 2 blocks from the manufacturing place in Central Lake. I do not want my summer days and evenings on my deck to be anything but the pleasures they have always been. Do we want this rural downtown Central Lake? I don't think so. The village council should certainly think about the potential damage to Thurston Park, who's going to want to camp in an odorous campground. They may stay a bit, but they won't come back. Who will want their children playing in the campground in the park? Even the young children outside for recess at school. Not to mention the athletes playing on our beautiful softball diamond. Do we want this? I don't think so. Thank you.
I'm not a Israel, I've been a resident here my whole life. I just want to try Israel. Out of all respect, I just wanted to let you know that it is not manufactured here in town. It is actually manufactured down in Fargo, which is, what, 2.5, 3 hours away. All manufactured down there to have a finished product here. None of that is not even around. So it's not even manufactured.
Tourism,
We're not going to have discussion amongst people. Thank you very much, Martha Kisbro. Anybody else?
My complaint in the last meeting was want to avoid problems, we're going to get a bigger problem, create a variance. More people want to get one variance. I can't imagine following being enough for children. I know people say that's not an issue, well, it is. School administrator or a former school administrator, I can't imagine anybody supporting this activity. That's close to the school system. And I think there's a lot of people in this room who think I'm saying that and agree with what I'm saying. All right, that's a later, how many would agree with that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else?
Yes, my name is Gail Bird, and for all these people who are against it, have you ever been to a dispensary? It's very clinical. You go in, you show your ID, and then when it's your turn, they take you in a room to purchase. It's not like a bunch of people hanging out, smoking glue, and getting high. You go in, make your purchase, and leave. It's been done very well. And it's all monitored, and also we have to report to the state what people buy, what they're doing with it. I mean, everything is counted. It's not like a bullshit. It is, and for medicinal reasons. I was at the last meeting as well. I had arthritis for 60 years. I'm 62, and it helps so much with the pain. I mean, you have no idea. So I just don't understand, like, oh, I raised my kids. I do understand that, but it's like people come in and buy. It's not like it's a line at the door or anything. It's all very well controlled.
Thank you, Gail. Next.
My name is Phil Westy. I was hoping to come and work at Central Lake.
I'm back here for the summer. I spent the last 6 months in California, which believe me, it is a business. This is an incredible opportunity for your village, and it is an incredible opportunity for our citizens. Health-wise, there's so many people who are helped. The people of this country have spoken, and especially the state and this municipality, and this is something that they want to pass. I think that this 901,000 is hard. What is that magic number? Are there other businesses close to the school? And as the lady stated earlier, I've been to many dispensaries lately, and it is so controlled. There is no gathering. It is a very quiet storefront. It is very professional, and it is very, very clean. I really think that this is an opportunity for a lot of us in this community, and I think you should very much consider this.
Thank you, Bill. The gentleman over there, you have a question?
Joe Bodley, former council member. As on board, when we adopted the medical marijuana ordinance in different areas, and knowing this we've done in the village council themselves, they themselves are in violation of a lot of their own ordinances as they are not conforming. And this being no different as in alcohol establishments, and they're within the footage range of schools and all, and the drunk driving we've spoken before. To address the children that may be subject to more of this, as Mr. Lenton had mentioned, the kids are going to find this, whether there's a store here or not. We all did when we were kids. They're gonna now. It's out there already. What Kelly's doing is bringing jobs and providing things to a building that was going to be torn down 5 years ago. And she has spent thousands and thousands of dollars renovating that building to keep it. I think there's a lot to be said for that, for the historical value of it in itself. So, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Gentleman right here, what's your name, please?
My name is Tom Burson. I've been for 43 years and raised my girls here. Was on the school board for 17 years, and I got on the school board this past year. I spent my entire life dealing with people that have had their problems as an EMT, and still have an EMT. Clients, people that have gone way down in marijuana problems and couldn't seem to take care of their problems the way I other drugs. All I'm saying is this: I raised my kids not to take drugs and not to do their whole lives. And now here we are trying to learn it again. And not only that, quick within 1,000 feet of the school. I personally believe that anybody who would have applied should have known that it was within 1,000 feet, and I support the businesses that also delayed and double support the amendment. They have it.
Thank you.
I was born and raised in this town, 59 years. God created marijuana. It's legal. I think we need to support home and have it here. We got 2 bars that are closer. I have kids that go in that bar at lunchtime to have a burger. Then that should be stopped. You guys, you're pushing alcohol on the kids. We're not doing that. This is going to be all legal. You go in, you show your ID, you purchase. We vote on it. I think it should be passed.
Thank you. Gentleman in the back corner there.
Hey, my name is Aaron Moore, ARON.
Thank you.
Yep, lived in town for quite a while now. I find it regrettable that we have as many alcoholic establishments as we do. None of these should be anywhere near the school. None of them should be in town as far as I'm concerned, but that's my own opinion. I'll leave that alone. I find it very regrettable that marijuana is legal in Michigan. Nothing I can do about that either. But last thing we need is another establishment like this, especially close to the schools. Voted against it. Don't want to see it. I think it's bad for this town. We got enough alcohol problems. We got enough drug problems. Inviting it in. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Susan Linton, and I think
what I deal with is there is a state law. And I believe it's our company to uphold that state law, not grant variance, because if we grant one variance, trust me, there's going to be other people that come on board and want another variance. And that's the way schools are state law. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Anybody else have a public comment? At this time, I'm going to close public comment. Thank you all. I'm going to introduce the village attorney, Attorney Moreno. Only council members can direct questions to Mr. Grant, since he is the attorney that represents us. I'll take it over.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to begin, basically the issues that you have to address tonight is whether you amend the initiated ordinance that was prepared or voted in under the recreational marijuana act, which is legally called marijuana. I know why it's called the recreational marijuana. It's a lot less tongue twisting. First thing I want to address is procedure. Okay, there's been some issues or questions as to whether a supermajority or a majority, more than just a simple majority of the council, is necessary to amend the initiated ordinance. That concept comes from Article 2, Section 9 of the Michigan Constitution. And that provision states that the people that have the right to do an initiated law, and it goes into procedures with dealing with the legislature and how they have the right to enact the ordinance or the law prior to the vote. And then they also talk about if it is passed by the voters, then the legislature cannot amend that state initiated statute unless it's by 3/4 of a vote. That's where that concept comes from. And so when you look at the authority for initiated ordinances, that comes from the recreational marijuana statute. And that statute says nothing about any supermajority or any procedures related to the amendment of an initiated ordinance. And so in the lack of any legal authority otherwise, my advice is it just takes a simple majority of the council to do that, okay, to amend. Now, whether you amend or not is a policy question. You're not legally required to do that. You have the legal right to do it if you want to. Now, let me read you what the actual recreational marijuana section or statute says. Section 9.3, subsection C says this. Or says the state will issue a license if the property where the proposed marijuana establishment is to be located is not within an area zoned exclusively for residential use, and it is not within 1,000 feet of a pre-existing public or private school providing education in kindergarten or any of grades 1 through 9, unless a municipality adopts an ordinance that reduces this distance requirement. So that is statutory authority if you want to reduce the 1,000 feet to something less. Okay? Again, that is a policy choice. It is not legally mandated, but it is legally allowed. So you have to make the choice of whether you do that, okay? And you have two ordinances in front of you. One is to reduce the distance to 900 feet. You don't like 900, it could be 800, it could be 950. That is again up to the council to decide. And so you can vote on that. And then the other ordinance in front of you is an administrative transfer, transferring some administrative duties from the village clerk back to the village council. Happy to answer questions, but in a nutshell, that's really what you're dealing with tonight is those policy choices, whether you want to amend the initiated ordinance.
I'm gonna open up the council to questions for Brian.
What do you think our risk is, with the green farm letters?
I've gone through these kinds of contentious meetings with other municipalities. And when a municipality limits the availability of establishments, or if it's under the medical marijuana facilities, you will always have competing interests, okay? And you have a letter from an attorney now that is giving his side of the thought process. I would very much anticipate you could easily get a similar letter from the other side. So in terms of making your policy choice, I would make it based on what you believe to be in the best interest of the village, and not worry about potential litigation, because regardless of what decision you do make, you theoretically face the possibility of litigation from the side that is not happy with your ultimate decision. Is your question? No.
I just think, yeah, okay. You just got it.
I have a question. I have a question. So,
And
so the ordinance that was passed for this municipality in November establishes one retail marijuana dispensary. There's no manufacturing. And so there will be one in the village and no more than one in the village, according to this ordinance.
As it's currently, correct.
And it, okay.
Well, based on November's election, or ordinance that was voted on by the people of the village, one will be coming to the village of Central Lake. Under this current ordinance that was voted on by the people in November last year.
any other questions from the council to Brian?
All right. Thank you, Brian. We're going to go ahead with the transfer of administrative duties. What this basically is in November, initiated ordinance that we voted on, throughout this document, it says the clerk will be responsible for determining who will get a marijuana license. After discussion with the council, we felt it was better that the council makes that decision and not the clerk. Any questions regarding that? I'm going to second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Chapman.
Yes.
Drake. Fox.
Yes.
Hines. Patton. Ring. Tyler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Andrew, you're on.
Amendment number 2, an ordinance to amend the Village of Central Lake marijuana established ordinance. Need a motion. We're doing the second amendment. Section 5, Village of Central Lake marijuana establishment ordinance, amended new subsection F, which shall read in its entirety as follows. F, the property where the proposed marijuana establishment is to be located is not within 900 feet of a pre-existing public or private providing education and kindergarten or any grades 1 through 12.
I'll make that motion.
Roll call, please. Sorry, Ralph.
I have had some communication from members of the school board, and I'll paraphrase what they said. was, it's really a shame that the village is considering significant tax increase in exchange for the building being closer to those kids. That's a member of the school. I have concerns that, the people, this is a one vote win for pro marijuana dispensary. I can see some older lady reading the proposal and say, hey, you know what, it's legal in here, it's legal in Michigan, it should be all right here, if we follow Michigan's guidelines. So she said, well, we're gonna follow those guidelines, I'm gonna sign yes. Well, we're not, if we adopt this, we're not following those guidelines, we're changing their guidelines. If they say it's okay to change, but it's not their guidelines anymore. It was one vote, it wasn't an overwhelming majority. And I truly believe that one person probably will feel that way in Eugene. And I think that's wrong. I just think that, I feel bad for Kelly, because she invested so much money. And we're grateful you want to spend money. I'm grateful. That being said, if you're not following the rules that were established, you knew were established, and then you want them to bend them for you now, it's going to continue. We're not even into the where you're selling stuff yet, and we're already trying to change rules. And I don't think it's a good beginning.
Thank you, Rob.
My issue is when this was passed, it's 1,000-foot law within the city. We're also trying to bend the rules right from the beginning. I feel they have to cover also, we should have done homework, done the distance requirements to see how far she was from the school. We're sitting here tonight having a special meeting, and a lot of these people in this meeting are putting the blame on us. The blame is not on us. The blame is the homework was not done on the distance requirements. Thank you.
Any other comment from the council? Andrew, roll call, please.
Chapman.
No.
Just a second. All right, Drake.
Going on Bill's motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Fox. Hines. Patton.
No.
Ring.
No.
Tyler.
Yes.
Motion fails.
Open up the meeting to public comment. Limit to 3 minutes, please.
So, two things. One is, Number two, the way that the rest of the state measures every distance is by radius. In terms of the sector, in terms of the PPO, it's all in radius. That radius from the school is at the most eastern boundary of the village market. Not even into the parking lot. That's what I was doing. That is 1,000 feet. I had no idea that the state goes by a straight line method. And in fact, I have documentation from the state showing that there's no rule, there's no law. There's no written anything by the state or LCC to know that the straight line method of measuring is used. It's in the municipality. There is one change as a backward transform. Otherwise, we will go to the all rules, laws, everything from RCMA. When you look at, I should have known that I was 1,000 feet from the school. I was going off the radius one, which is what every other police officer uses for everything being enforced in this entire country. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Anybody else for public comment?
I've got one about the vote. We have a voting system. Doesn't matter who I want. If one makes you a winner, you're a winner. So that's 3,000. War on hold, puts you on that side, you just won. That is what this nation's all about. Not because somebody, you think it's not.
Thank you, Bill. Anybody else in public comments?
Yeah,
Daniel, there.
I wanna know, what, if anything, new marijuana store will contribute to the village. Does anybody know that?
Well, we're not gonna tell you, it's public comment for you. I can talk to you.
Right.
Sure.
If there is, or if there isn't, a contribution to the village, which he's already made, a lot of, this is just all wrong.
Thank you, Dan. Public comment.
It appears that you guys are kind of made this personal. We got bars that are in this jurisdiction. If I understand the law, the way this was written, it was that it was supposed to follow the same laws as alcohol. Is I making this up? No, so why can bars be within 900 feet, but this establishment can't? I think you guys are opening up a can of worms yourself, because now you are treating them very different. The state says they should be treated the same.
Thank you. Public comment?
Didn't the village council recently pass a variance ordinance for the liquor establishments allowing outside sales or consumption? Within that range too? Just recently here. But that's okay, because
Walk from downtown to the campground, open beverage.
Any other public comment? All right, meeting, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Who made the motion?
Somebody second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all for joining us tonight.